Do you remember what you said when we were walking them lines? It was so damn sweet that it brought tears to my eyes. But you probably don't remember.
So
we were out of
first
our minds.
I
Well,
would
you
just
were
like
out.
to know about your influences, like even just as a child, like the music that was surrounding you growing up.
So interesting, because I look at like a lot of genres of music now in sort of relation to the same genres of music that I listened to when I was a child,
Right.
and what women are doing now as opposed to what they were doing then. And I definitely listened to a lot more hip hop back then, and I say back then because it's 90s, 80s, 90s, mainly 90s. I was quite young actually. Yeah, no, so it was like mainly like, I would listen to a lot of hip hop. That's what I really, really loved. And like, because there were really strong, powerful female rappers back then.
Right.
And a lot of them who were sexy and confident, but without being overtly naked. You know, who kept their clothes on a lot, but were still sexual and confident in themselves. So I listened to a lot of like Salt and Pepper, On Vogue, Nana Cherry, who else? Like, I mean, even Missy Elliott into the early 2000s. She was like a massive influence on me, especially
love
because,
her.
yeah, she had the style and the steez, and she didn't give a fuck what anyone thought of her, you know, or her size, or, you know, like she was just herself. And to me, that was really inspirational, especially because I didn't have, you know, being a drum and bass artist, I didn't have a lot of female influences. So I looked at the hip hop girls.
Yeah.
And I look at the hip hop girls now, and there isn't a lot of hip hop girls that I relate to now at all.
Right.
At all.
So because I know that you're really into like just women and music, and you like
Yeah.
up that culture a lot. When you were younger, were you consciously into like women role models for your music, or was it just you were drawn to them? Or
I think I was always, because I grew up in a house with like a sister and two brothers, but we grew up on a farm. And so even though there was the side of me that was really girly and liked dolls, there was also the side of me that loved building forts and playing in the river and getting dirty and hanging out with my dog. And neither side was ever encouraged more than the other.
Yeah.
It was all very much just about being free, and especially living on a farm, you have the potential to do that. And so I kind of grew up with that attitude of sort of like never trying to be older than what I was, or cooler than what I was, but just trying to just be me,
Yeah.
basically. Obviously that changed when I got a lot older, and you know, you have sort of society's perceptions of how you should be as a woman and stuff sort to start to creep in. But back then I would say I gravitated towards these women because I loved rapping, I loved emceeing, and I loved music, and I loved fashion. And they encompassed all those things, but they did it in a way that was relatable. Like
Yeah.
it was cool, it was sassy, it was confident, and it was them doing them.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they were trying to do something because the record label told them to do that. I felt like they were genuinely doing that and saying that because that was who they were.
Yeah, and did you feel like that empowered you as a woman or a young girl really that wanted to get into music, that you were like, I
Yeah.
could be like that? Like, were there ever any male artists that kind of ever made you feel like, oh yeah, I want to do that too? Or was
Well,
it
yeah,
mostly-
I mean, no, there were, but that was not so much like as a child. I think like as a little girl, you definitely look to female artists, don't you? But I mean, there were obviously guys who were making music like, like I really loved a lot of like New Jack Swing, and I loved a lot of hip hop again. But then I got into a lot of rock music.
Right.
So I was really into like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam. I loved Tool, but I loved all that music. I know.
Girl likes Tool.
Yeah, Offspring, Beastie Boys,
Wow,
which was a combination of hip hop and
But
rock.
isn't it interesting that all the rock bands you're mentioning are all like male rock bands too?
Yeah, so there was probably no female rock bands that maybe I liked L7, and I liked Elastica, but in terms of Garbage I kind of got into, No Doubt sort of a little bit, but those, for me, I was sort of already on my path of getting into electronic music by that stage.
Yeah.
But those male bands you're talking about, I'm talking about, the reason why I loved them so much is because it was the emotion that I
Yeah.
connected with.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I was connecting with women that I could see myself being like, and then when I got into rock music, it was more music that I felt emotionally stirred by, and that was at that time in my life where I was like 14, 15, so emotions and like, oh, emo, 16, 17, and then I started to get into hip hop again, so like Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, and this time it was about artists who had a platform and were using that platform to say something of value to society. So this was when I was at university, and I started thinking about what is my role in this world, especially as a woman. How can I use my platform to say something? I mean, I didn't have a platform at that stage, but it was definitely in my mind. And then when I eventually got into drum and bass, there were literally no female role models. I mean, maybe like 2 DJs, Chemistry and Storm, and 1 female MC, but I wasn't into her. I didn't like her style.
Right.
So I was looking at 40-year-old men from London and thinking I needed to sound like that.
That's really interesting to me, because obviously a lot of my experience in my blog talks about women in rock at the moment. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I also know that drum and bass in the electronica scene is heavily swayed towards male as well.
Totally.
So did you feel alone? Like
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, on one hand, it was really nice because I was very coddled in a sense. When I signed to Full Cycle, the boys who signed me, there was 5 of them on the label, and they were very protective of me. Who was I was the young sensei kind of thing, and he would definitely protect me and give me advice, but all of this perspective is coming from a male perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody ever sort of gave me advice on like how I should deal with male fans who speak to me inappropriately, or how I should deal with a male promoter who calls me a diva just because I asked for a dressing room with a mirror. In a tour bus, there was me and 2 backing singers who were females. We had a dressing room with no mirror in it, and we're expected to put on clothes and do makeup, and you know, it's like there is a standard. That to me is a standard. Asking for a mirror is asking for a certain standard. It's not go and use the public toilets. No, I don't want to go use the public toilets because the audience is arriving.
It's also the ignorance to there weren't many women artists around, so they just think, well, women artists just need what men artists need.
Yeah.
Or like all artists just need the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
we're all equal here, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that the guys would want a mirror in their dressing room
if they were putting on lipstick.
Yeah, it's like I don't even have a compact. I didn't even have a mobile phone, I don't think, at that point. I think my phone had like broken before I even went on tour. Anyway, it's things like that where I definitely felt that I needed someone to guide me, and I didn't have that guidance. And so therefore there were definitely moments where I possibly made mistakes or said inappropriate things. But I very, very quickly learned, oh, okay, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. And I took that and I rolled with it.
Yeah.
And now, that's why I'm so passionate about trying to bring young women through in electronic music, and basically just taking them under my wing and giving them guidance.
Yeah.
And why I love Good for a Girl, because we don't have these conversations.
No.
We don't talk about these things, and unless we do, and young women have places where they can go and read this stuff and be like, oh, okay.
Like other women have that. It's
and
not
they
just
feel
me.
like this,
Yeah.
You know, and if they don't have that, then they will make those mistakes. And I want to be able to prevent people from. I mean, it's good to make mistakes, but
Learn for yourself.
at the same time, it's like it would have been nice if someone had just said to me, "Hey, maybe don't."
It's a thing that
You know,
happens.
don't maybe tell them to fuck off. That's not appropriate. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And do you have any kind of key moments in your career where you went, okay, that's fucked? Like something like that you're just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
to do with being a woman, like.
Well, I mean, to do with being a woman and not to do with being a woman. I mean, sometimes it was because I was alone, like because I didn't have somebody there. I didn't have any sort of security or anything that people felt like they could approach me and speak to me. Yeah. But I've also seen them approach and speak to men like that as well. So it's like, there's definitely been situations that have just come down to the fact that you're an MC and people think they can just come up to me, you're like, give me the mic, man. Yeah, give me the mic. I want an MC, give me the mic. And you're just like, I don't walk into your job and ask to frickin' start serving people. Like, go away. But definitely moments where as a woman I was just like, wow, like I really did not expect that, and that was shit. I mean, how long have we got?
Well, fucking however long we want.
I've definitely had, like, I remember there was this one promoter in Liverpool, and I'd already had a bit of a shit night because this one guy had come up to me and he'd asked me if he could have the mic, and I said to him, no, you can't have the mic. And then he was more aggressive and he was like, he's like, yeah, give me the mic, man, yeah, and spit some rhymes and ting. And I was like, no. And I was like, fuck off, I'm doing a job. So he threw a bottle of water at me, and I think it hit me in the stomach or the chest. It was a full bottle of water, plastic bottle, but still fucking hurt. And I looked around, and there was just all dudes, and people didn't know what to do. Nobody approached him whether they didn't want to start something, but nobody stepped in and was like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I just ripped the shit out of him on the mic. I just proceeded to MC and just cuss him freestyle, and everyone started laughing at him. And he got really angry, and at that point, the security guard had come through, and I said, this guy here threw a bottle of water at me, la 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 la. Anyway, later on that night, the promoter was like, oh, I'm really sorry about what happened. So I'm like, that's okay. And he's like, I'll walk you back to the hotel. And I was like, yeah, cool. We were getting on really well, we're having this great conversation. And he's like, I'll walk you into the hotel. You don't mind, do you? That's all right, innit? And I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. That's totally cool. And then he's like, I'll take you up to your room. You don't mind, do you? And I was like, no, that's cool. You can walk me up to my room. So he takes me up to my room. And then he's like, can I come in for a minute? Is that all right? Do you mind? And I was like, no, you can come in for a minute. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Do you want a cup of tea? He's like, yeah, I'd love a cup of tea. So we sit there and we're talking. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to bed now. And he goes, I'm just going to lie down here. You don't mind, do you? And I went, yeah. It's time for you to go now. You know, it's just like, it just got to that point where it's like...
Oh, he was so subtle about it.
But I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, I have had numerous times where there's been a knock at my door at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll look through my peephole and there'll be a certain DJ or two who I cannot name who's been like, Tali, what are you doing? Are you awake? And I'm like, not appropriate. Yeah. Sorry. You know, or calling my room, yeah, man, do you need some company? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to be taken as a professional.
Exactly. Like, are they doing that to the other guys you're on tour with?
I want to be seen as a professional. Treat me like a professional. You might be attracted to me. Call me when we're off tour, and we'll talk about it.
Right, now we're working.
Not while we're on tour and we're working, because it's definitely not happening. You think I got this far, and now I'm going to jeopardize it? And the amount of people who have said to me, she got where she is from sleeping with people, or she must have slept with the entire label to get there. And I'm like, yes, because I have a magic vagina. Yeah. My vagina is so magic that I just go, woo, and everyone's like, give her a record deal. It's like, what is the logic in this? If you look at the backstory, you'll see that the backstory is actually quite exciting. And the reason that I got here was quite exciting.
Oh, no, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, because I just, woo! And they're like, you.
How dare we think that part should matter? It's actually just how pretty you are and whether you put out, basically.
I've had entire threads and forums dedicated to the way I looked. And things like, yeah, I'd do her with a paper bag over her head, and she sounds like a cat being dragged through a lawnmower backwards. And you know what? I really don't mind if people don't think I'm a good MC or they're not into my music, because it's subjective, you know, it's completely up to you, it's personal taste. But when people start talking about me like I'm an object and what they want to do to me, like, I cried absolute tears when I first read those forums, because I was new in my career. And I was reading this shit and thinking, is this, you know, like, and as a sort of, as a, I don't know, what's the word, you know, like, where you go against that, I would, be determined to dress as boyish as I could. Yeah. So I would wear tracksuits, cap, snapback cap, big ponytail, big earrings like this, fierce as, get on stage and just have such an attitude, because it was like I wanted to push away the idea of seeing me as an object. I tried to make myself more male, I guess, and sound more male. And because the only role models I had were males, you know, everyone was like, you're such a little tomboy. And I'm like, underneath, I want to wear a sparkly skirt and a boob tube. And I can't, because I don't want to be seen as an object, you know. But as I got older, and as I earned my stripes, as we say, you know, this little soldier earned her stripes, it became apparent that, you know, and also Ronnie Size, who signed me to his music label, he was like, babe, what you need to understand about these people who are running these forums, they've got one hand on their dick and one hand on the computer. And usually they either want to do you or be you. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. They're jealous because they can't have you and because you're in a position that they don't think you should be in, especially because you're some white little female from New Zealand. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You know? So there was that, and I was like, okay. And he was like, stop reading the comments because they'll drive you crazy. And then secondly, as I got older and matured more and became more comfortable in myself and my sexuality, I was like, you know what? If I want to dress like this and you want to see me as a sexual object, that's your problem. That's not my problem. I'm not dressing like this.
The important thing is you feel good.
I feel good.
Yeah.
And I want to, and you know, I am a sexual person and I love being a female. And I don't dress for men, I dress for other women. Essentially, I'm like,
that's a huge thing men don't understand, eh? Or even just when it comes to makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, she's wearing way too much makeup. I like girls that don't wear makeup.
I don't care what you like. I didn't put this
okay,
makeup on
dude,
for you.
well, don't wear makeup then. You don't have to. Like, if you don't like makeup, just don't wear it. But I like, what?
It's my choice.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like there's like this sort of fine line as well, because society kind of tells us that in order for us to be attractive and to be successful, that we have to act a certain way and we have to be provocative in a certain way. And I think there's nothing wrong with being sexy and being provocative, but as long as that's truly who you are and you're doing it for the right reasons, you're doing it because it does make you feel empowered, not because you feel like you should be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and what really gets my goat especially is with like lineups, festival lineups. This is important that we talk about this, because I've had instances, and I know you have too, where we cannot be put on a lineup because there's already a female on the lineup.
Yeah.
And especially for me as an MC, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't see any other female MCs around here. I'm like the only one, and yet I can't be on this lineup because there's one other female who's a DJ who plays house music.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a drum and bass MC. This is completely different. You've got 5 white dudes who all MC over drum and bass and who all pretty much sound the same. Where is the logic in this? You know, it just gets me so wound up, because we're just booking the artists that are successful. We're just booking the artists that make us money. We're booking the artists, the headliners that are touring at the moment. Bullshit. Do your research. There are other artists out there who are female, who are touring, who are making money, who, if you gave them an opportunity, people usually go, oh my God, go MC. Yeah. And all the chicks push their way to the front, and then guys are like, wow, this is amazing. There's all these women, and the promoters are like, this is great. This is like, you know, it's heaving, it's going off. We've got females and guys. I put them there, mofo.
Yeah.
I did that.
Because you're never going to have like people come away from a festival and be like, you know what, it was a cool day, but I just think there was too many girls there.
Yeah.
Like, that's never going to happen. I don't know why promoters and festival organisers worry about that. Whether they actually are consciously worrying about that or not, or whether it's just when they're confronted by it, they just go, oh, I have to make up an excuse.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like about going global showcases, because when you look at the breakdown of the 12 artists, 6 of them have women in them.
Yes,
so it's like 50-50.
definitely. Yeah.
There needs to be some major festival somewhere just needs to, like, quietly, like, not announce it, just for their next festival, just book 50% like acts with women in them, not say anything about it, just do it.
Yeah.
And then let the media take it once the festival like lineup's been announced, and then if people notice, then that's cool. And then if it's a major festival that does it, all the other small festivals will be like,
They can follow on.
yeah, like it's just the power of influence.